And I'm Travis.
And we are late to the party, and it's a marvelous edition of
Better Late Than Never. I'm glad you said marvelous because we're doing something different because it's an end of an era for Marvel Cinematic Universe.
The transition is coming. April is nigh, and we are going to see what is going to happen to all our favorite heroes. But it was a long road to get here, and Late to the Party wasn't around back then.
No, that's why I thought it would be fun that we go back and look at some of the older movies that built us up to this climax here. So,
yes, starting with Iron Man.
Yes, in this particular movie,
Contribution.
Iron Man was released May 2nd of 2008. I had a budget of $140 million, and obviously made a profit of $585.2 million. So it was directed by Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau. Johnny Favs.
Tomato.
My boy, Happy Hogan.
The crazy thing I didn't know is that this film for Iron Man has been in development since the early 90s, since 1990. And it's been owned by different production studios like Universal Studios, 20th Century Fox, New Line Cinema. They've all kind of wanted to do it. But it wasn't really until Marvel got their own rights back in 2006 that the ball started really rolling.
Right.
And if you know anything about the history of this, people who were going to play Iron Man were some like Nicolas Cage. Tom Cruise was going to produce it and wanted to star in it. It just didn't work because they were looking for somebody who had to go through personal strength and growth. And
Snarky Stark.
So they got the nice Tony Stark with Robert Downey Jr.
Of course.
So I think it was interesting.
Real life Tony Stark.
Right.
Minus the geniuses.
And, we've all been around Iron Man for over 10 years now, so we all know who he is, where he comes from.
Of course.
Beforehand, we all most people thought he was just a robot.
Right, yeah.
So, didn't know really what it was or who he was or what it was about. So Marvel did this interesting thing where they did some focus groups before they even went into production about how they can change the concept of what Iron Man is. So they're able to scave that back and peel back the onion, shall we say, that it's a human being, like Batman, but Marvel side.
And that, to me, still one of the best opening scenes ever in a movie, which I think did all that right with the first hit.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at the original trailer for Iron Man. Now.
Oh, this is so exciting.
Remember the flip phone I had, just like Iron Man?
It was the exact phone.
Oh my god, it was awesome.
Didn't make the sound, though.
No one's allowed to talk, is that it?
Definitely cannot listen to
God,
AC/DC
you're a
without
woman.
thinking Iron Man.
Is it better to be feared or respected? I say,
It's too much to ask for both.
much to ask for.
The Jericho.
The Jericho.
I love his little step forward.
That's so
To peace. Crazy.
So intense, too.
Yep.
Now you work for me.
That shot right there.
What are you building, Stark?
Edson.
I love how they came back to him in the third one.
Your eyes are red. You tears for your long lost boss?
Tears of joy. I hate job hunting.
Welcome home, sir.
You can feel the sexual tension between the two.
What happened over there? I had my eyes open. I want to protect the people.
Obadiah,
Yep.
he was good.
Spoilers!
Yeah, that.
Well, now that you've seen
now
it.
that you've seen the movie, yeah, it's so interesting going back and watching. You're like,
Right.
oh my god, yeah.
Let's see if this dog can hunt.
No,
It's fun with the
it's
silver
so magical
paint.
how he was able
Oh,
to
the
get back home.
robots. Oh.
Tell you what, throw a little hot rod red in there.
Right there would have been better if they did the Iron Man, Black Sabbath.
Good luck keeping on.
Oh, Terrence Howard.
Next time, baby. Not for you. Ah, see? Look at that. You saw Obadiah in there. They did cut it, so you didn't really see it was him. If you pause it, you'd see it.
Let's face it, this is not the worst thing you've caught me doing.
Caught me doing.
For being 10 years old or over,
Operating around superhero.
graphics aren't that bad.
Right.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
Nope. Oh, here it is. They all use this in the promotional stuff.
Because nothing looks more badass than an explosion walking.
Of course.
With Iron Man walking away, he's like, yeah.
So granted, yes, if you know the backstory of Iron Man, obviously it's not spoilers if you know you know, how it was going to go in terms of the characters. But for me, I didn't analyze the trailer. I remember watching the trailer, but I didn't analyze it. Like, I knew Jeff Bridges was in it. I knew Robert Downey Jr. was in it. And of course, you got Terrence Howard jumping in there when he was doing pretty well for himself at that moment. Yeah. But when it came to that twist, that whole thing with Obadiah Stane being the one screwing over Tony, working for the 10 Rings, it blew my mind. I was like, holy shit, I didn't see it coming. So like when he's freaking does the little thing next to Tony and it like paralyzes him and he starts, you see the veins, like I was like, oh my god, how could you? You're screwing him over. Granted, if you look back on it, it's clear as day. It's in the trailers, it's in the movie. It just took me a little while to, I just trusted him. And I thought the whole 10 Rings were the bad guys. But yeah, it ended up not being that way, you know?
Technically they are still bad guys. It's just that it wasn't the main focus of this movie, essentially. Of course. But yes, to answer your question, Travis, I did see this movie based off of the trailer because I went to go see it opening night. And I remember when they used to have midnight screenings, but we didn't go to the midnight screening. We went like that Friday night, like around 7 o'clock, I'm pretty sure. And then I remember there was a long line. Everybody was just waiting to get in. We were on the bad side of the theater at the time. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching the movie. However, I did not stay after the credits during this one. So it was back in the day where...
Before that was in every movie.
Before it was a thing where you had to stay after the credits. That was one of those where I did not. And then I remember people saying, oh, you have to stay after the credits. And then I went to go see it again, but watched it, then stayed after the credit. And I was like, oh, dang. There's something at the end.
And then it all started from there.
But it's so funny because the end credit thing wasn't really necessarily like a staple as far as MCU, and it's been done before. Like I remember Last Stand had it too at the very end, and we didn't really stay after that, and people were waiting, and then we went back into the theater to watch like, oh shit, Xavier's back. So it was just kind of, yeah.
It's fun, like Wayne's World and the after credits. What are you guys still doing here? Go home.
Ferris Bueller's at the very end.
Yeah, Ferris Bueller. I mean, it's been around forever, but
now it is a staple amongst Marvel to put that at the end. And it's funny, when I ended up watching that the very first time I went with a fan who was a diehard fan of the comic series. Iron Man is his #1 superhero. So when it came down to that movie, he absolutely was in love with it. Me not being an Iron Man aficionado in any way, absolutely loved the movie. So we ended up just having kind of like that soft conversation during the credits. And then that whole scene popped up. And my buddy... when they did the whole strategic Homeland Shield reveal at the end of the movie, like he lost his mind because we, again, didn't notice stuff happening throughout the movie that led up to it. It's there clear as day, but we didn't see it. So he blew his mind. It blew his mind, but he blew his mind away on his own. But
oh my god, it's awesome!
I'm like, no, there's something at the end. But with the end credit scene, when they hit you with Nick Fury in the Avengers Initiative, oh my god, like that was just, that topped it already for him to where the experience that he walked away with was just overwhelmingly positive. That's why we ended up watching it multiple times after that.
I just love it because that right there, it wasn't to build a universe. They didn't have those plans yet. So it was just fun little niches for people who are fans of the comic books, which is great with this movie because even going back to how the suit originally looked when he built it in the cave, that's the way Iron Man looked originally back in the 70s. And then they build the next version, and then the next version it looks like War Machine, and you're like, oh, that's War Machine, but of course War Machine wasn't in this world yet, or even thought about it. It's just one of those nuanced things you see and go, aha, it's awesome.
Casual and organic, a slow build, very well put together. And
it's just
Captain America's shield just sitting on the freaking corner there.
True too. And just to think about how, like, this movie itself too was like a make or break essentially, because it was a relatively unknown character in the Marvel universe unless you really were deep seated in Marvel lore and all of that stuff. But then when that happened and they brought it out, I mean, if this movie didn't really do as good as it did, we might have not have gotten what
Marvel
we
Studios
have. Yeah, we
would
might
have not been as big as they are now.
Exist now, so it's just an awesome feeling to really see where we've come so far from Iron Man and how awesome that movie turned out to be.
Right. And it definitely did echo through on every single movie that came after the fact. They set the staple, in my opinion, when it comes to the music, the score. Ramin Djawadi, I can't never say it right. Djawadi.
Ramin Djawadi.
Who's done like all those HBO, like Westworld, and I think
Game of Thrones. He's done an amazing job, and to me, he really gave Tony that amazing theme that they ended up not utilizing again for the sequels, which kind of makes me sad because it took them a while to realize. I think it took them until like Captain America.
How important the music was, yeah.
Right, how you can have a theme there.
They still like...
Thor had a great one as well.
Had a little bit, but then like it's still
the sequels
a little
lost
bit. The sequels didn't really have it until recently. So,
right, and eventually they got it back to Avengers, where you ended up having Silvestri come in and do an amazing job. But I love the score for Iron Man. I love everything about it, the ambiance, the atmosphere, with the score and the scenes. The opening scene, again, one of my favorite scenes, just because at the time, when you see someone sitting in front of those hooded characters and the camera's on you.
Back in 2008.
That is terrifying,
seriously
horrible, and it was very topical, and still kind of is. But when you saw that, you're like, oh, how is he gonna get out of this? And you already got that snarky attitude that in the fun V versus the humdrum V. Like, it's an amazing show of Tony Stark's character with these soldiers around him. And then just like that, it's over. And you see him build that relationship with Jensen, as well as build the first Iron Man suit to escape. Like, everything about it is just a perfect level of orchestration.
And I don't think it could have been without Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
The way he portrayed that character and built it. I mean, just the parts where he made a actor's choice to sit on the edge of the stage and eat hamburgers and talk versus doing what was said in the script. Stuff like that really made Tony Stark... I mean, Robert Downey Jr. into Tony Stark, and it really gave him a new life in film beyond the Marvel Universe.
Of course.
And who doesn't like him now?
It's a perfect base. It's a perfect platform to spring off this Avengers universe, this MCU universe, especially for Disney to come in eventually and say, I like what you guys are doing. We'll take it.
Yeah. I have a question since we're starting this off.
Right.
And Endgame is coming up. There's theories about quantum jumping, time travel. Do you think we might see scenes of this first movie in this game?
Maybe not this movie, but maybe some ones that require a bigger scale of characters, like Avengers.
Yeah, I think Avengers makes the most sense. The first Avengers.
But you never know. We don't know. They're keeping it quiet to us.
Very true.
We will. I mean, we will be chomping at the bit to see what happens to Tony Stark. I feel like Tony Stark's going to make it through. I think he'll keep continuing. Robert Downey Jr. will continually be a part of them. He doesn't need to be a huge part of it. He could be around, a mentor, kind of helping everyone out, and then during the tentpole movies, be a big part of it.
Am I hearing a prediction for the future?
I think that Iron Man, Tony Stark, is surviving Endgame's final scene.
All right, you heard it here. So
no one else has a guess? You guys think he's going to die?
I think I want to look at some older classic trailers first before I make my decision.
All right, well, we're on Iron Man now. So Iron Man is done. What did you guys think of our review reaction to Iron Man? What did you think of it when you first saw it? How many times did you watch it that weekend when it first came out? 3 for me. And I'm assuming more for them.
3 for me.
There you go.
2 for me.
There you go. But tell us down in the comments below. You can also like and subscribe.
And do the thing on our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Stardust.
All the social networking gin joints, you know where they are. Kicking the party, fuel the party, keep the party going on our Patreon. Gets us where we need to go. Thank you, Travis.
Thank you. Stay tuned for the next episode of Marvel Movies on Better Late Than Never.
Better late than never. And as always, now it's time to say goodbye.
Bye.
This party's over.
All right.